Everybody good today?
Yeah.
How was Don Dino's last night? I went to Don Dino's. How I did about Don Dino's?
Nobody went. It was only posted on. I will say, I didn't go. Yeah. I didn't say, yeah. I liked it. I'm just kidding. No, I mean,
Yeah, yes, there is. So what do we have to do about the baseball, the rawhide baseball thing?
We've got to have sorry, go ahead.
Are we trying to get in that saloon part?
Yeah.
Is there only so many people that can get in there?
I don't know. I got a couple of.
You gotta do that before it books out.
It's really close to take forever, so that's why I want to finalize it today. No, I said we still have to finalize our teams. We have to finalize our teams, or so that need another player.
Okay, well, let's get to it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about writing an offer. So there's two parts of it. There's the physical part of actually writing an offer, right? And then on your zip forms, and then there's how to structure an offer and how to write a strong offer in this kind of market. So obviously, the market is such a seller's market right now, although I feel like it's changing a little The next morning, the agent calls me back and she said they went with cash offer. Even though hard money is cash, it's one more step, right? You know, I mean, it's still one more step in the process. And this lady's mine, she's 80 years old. It's just, she's imagining somebody walking in with, you know, suitcases full of money. And so we didn't get it. So I called my clients and we were like, well, that was it. That was all the negotiations that went on. And yeah, that was it. She picked the one she wanted. And they go, well, we would have done 600 cash. Okay, why didn't you tell me that? Because then I would have had something to work with. But I'm not a mind reader, and you didn't tell me that. And so the one that their son, I said, he said, well, they were shocked because they didn't get another chance for negotiation. I said, we don't have that option, and we're never promised that. I mean, you could have 5 offers that can come in and sellers could be like, that's it, that's the one, sign it, we're done, right? But in this case, they weren't transparent. Had they been transparent, we want this house. We'll do anything we can to get this house. We'll go 600 cash. Why didn't they tell me that? Then I could have said to the other agent, okay, they will go cash. Where do we need to be? Because she was talking to me and she was telling me exactly what needed to happen for them to get that offer, but they didn't. And they learned a very valuable lesson. So when people are getting 10 offers or 4 offers or however many offers, when I present, it's overwhelming to sellers, right? So you better come in with a flippin' strong offer, because if there's 10 offers and you're down here, I take the top 3 and the rest of them are gone, right? Because we're not gonna negotiate with 10 offers. We're not going to. It's too much. It's too many. It's overwhelming. Sellers can't comprehend it. You're just, you know, I find the strongest price, the best appraisal gap guarantee, and the lenders. And, you know, the terms, I'm looking at all that. We'll narrow it down to 3 or 4, and then we go with that. If you're these bottom down here, you may not even get a counteroffer. You may not get an opportunity for a counteroffer, and sometimes things move so quickly. You know, even if they were down there and said what happened, well, we didn't even respond to you, can we write a better offer? You might have that opportunity, but you may not. So you really gotta set the mindset with your clients. This isn't a time for negotiating. Write the best offer that you feel comfortable with. That's what I always say to them. The best offer you feel comfortable with. And then they'll say to you something like, well, should we go 5,000 higher? And I'll say, well, if you lose it over 5,000, are you gonna regret it? Put it back on them. Are you gonna regret it? If they say, yeah, I will regret it over 5,000. I'm gonna another 5,000. So what can we control? We can control price. We can control escrow period, so it's super important. Call the listing agent, see what the sellers want, ask them, what do these sellers want? Like, what's important to these sellers? They'll tell you. You know, like, how long an escrow? The point of a really strong offer is to get where you don't have to have a counter back. You don't want to give them that, because while you're countering back and forth with these other offers, another offer can come in and just blow you out of the water, like what happened with me. It was cash. Had we got that wrapped up right away, that other cash offer wouldn't come in, we would have got that property, but, you know, it didn't turn out that way. And even though I like to pretend like I get all my offers accepted, I don't, right? None of us do. So we just gotta come in with that strong offer. So ask, it's important to them. What do they need? In this kind of market, always negotiate occupancy. So like, if it's vacant, you know your pending buyers can get occupancy on the day it closes. If it is not vacant, if it is occupied, find out, like, are they buying something else? Do they have a place to go? I always tell my buyers, you need to give them a couple of days after the closed escrow to move and put it in the contract. Because if you don't, and you write me an offer, I'm gonna counter you on that. I'll counter you, because I'm not gonna get to the end of this deal and have buyers and sellers fighting over, oh, I want the keys. Well, they need to move. Well, it said we're getting occupancy on the day it closes. Oh, I didn't negotiate that for you. Super important, because you have a good deal.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Has the meeting started? Because the video started late and I'm unsure if you're going over things or if you're having a conversation.
We're going over things. We're going.
Okay, I wasn't sure because The video got started really late. I was on here before, but
Sorry.
I just want to make sure, 'cause I would just want to be able to follow.
Yeah, so we're just talking about how we're a super strong offer. Where did you jump in at?
Well, it was turned on probably like 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. And I don't really know because you were already talking, so I didn't really hear what exactly you were saying. But I've just heard the last part of the conversation, like you're gonna counter them, but I don't even know where it started.
Caitlin. Okay. All right. So what we're talking about, Caitlin, is writing a super strong offer in this kind of a market because you may not get a chance to do a second shot at it. You may not get a counter back. You know, if there's 10 good offers, and yours is the worst or close to being the worst, they may just take the top 3 or 4 offers and then counter back to them.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. So we'll go back to how we start writing a good offer. You know, it's about escrow period, it's about price, it's definitely worth about more than just price. It's not just pricing that we need to. You gotta make it strong with terms too, right? So occupancy. If the buyer, if they're older, I mean, I've had my clients say, we'll give this seller 2 weeks to move, no rent, free. Just here's 2 weeks. When I bought my house on Howard in Visalia, I was at the end of things, and man, I was on that agent. Like I was on him. I want this house, what do I gotta do? So I went over full price, it was listed for $319, now for $330, and I gave her 30 days after, no, I gave her 14 days after the close of escrow to move for free, because she was older, and I knew it was gonna take her some time. So she liked that, right? Because she was 87, she couldn't move real quickly, so that was important. So it's find out about occupancy. The goal is to not have a reason for the seller to counter you. Ask them, you know, escrow, I was trying to Cindy, so I try it. But if they don't want it, I'm not gonna lose the deal over that. And if it's really a competitive property, I'll put seller's choice. That way it's nothing they can counter. You wanna make sure that you do a really good pre-qual. Now, when the market was different and it was a buyer's market, we would not show how much these people were actually qualified for. So let's say the property was listed for 4, but my clients were qualified for 6. I would have my lender give me a pre-qual for 4, because we didn't want them to know, because the market buyers have more power. That now when I'm making an offer for my buyers, if they qualify for 6 and we're making an offer for 4, I put 6 on the pre-qual because I want them to know how strong my buyers are. Okay? So it's different. It's a different mindset. Like when you call and you're selling that offer to that listing agent, you need to say, look, my people have put $100,000 down. They're super qualified. They did their jobs. Like you gotta sell that listing agent so they know, because it's not just about the highest price. It's about the most solid deal too, right? The one that's close. Okay. So what else? Oh, appraisal gap guarantees. So do you know what that is, Ryan? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because the market, people are offering more than what we know properties are going to appraise for. Okay? So if property, like if we think it's going to appraise for about 4 and we listed at 4, and buyers start making offers like 420, 430, 440, we know it's not going to appraise. So, and the offer, they could offer $600,000 on a $400,000 property, but if it doesn't appraise and they don't do something to make up the difference in that appraisal, it's useless. It's useless. So when offers start coming in and I know it's over what it's going to appraise for, that's where the appraisal gap guarantee comes in. And that is super, super important. It's almost more important than the price at that point. An appraisal gap guarantee the verbiage is this: buyer agrees to pay X amount of dollars over appraised value, not to exceed purchase price. Okay. So it could be $10,000. It could be buyer agrees to pay $10,000 over appraised value, not to exceed purchase price. So if the offer is 440 and then it appraises for 420, they're gonna bring in that 10,000 cash, they're gonna pay 430. Okay? If it appraises for 440, they're not paying 450, it caps it at the purchase price. But it's just a way to lessen the gap between what it appraises for and what the purchase price is. So if you have two offers, if one is at 4.4, if they're both at 4, and we think it's gonna appraise for 380, the most important thing at that point, I look for the biggest appraisal gap guarantee. It's the biggest insurance policy for the sellers when it doesn't appraise. And if you wanna go one step better than that, just waive the appraisal contingency. But the buyer has to really understand that no matter what that appraises for, they're saying we're gonna make up the difference in cash. Okay? So you better have the cash to back it up, so they're gonna have to pay for their down payment, they're gonna have to pay for their closing costs, and they're gonna have to come in the cash for the appraisal gap guarantee. Or the appraisal gap, whatever it is. So, and if it comes in and it is way low and they back out, they're gonna lose their deposit. Because there's no appraisal contingency. So the other way to make a really strong offer is you've got to have a good earnest money deposit. Make sure you do, like Guillermo has been doing $10,000 EMVs on his offers. And I love it because once they remove those contingencies, the buyers, I guarantee they're gonna go forward. Because they know they're gonna lose 10 grand if they don't. And sellers like that too. And it just looks like, look, here we we are super interested, we're committed, we're doing 10,000. We used to ask for buyers closing costs to be paid. I don't see it anymore. I mean, I see it once in a while and then that offer's gone. And if that's the best your client can do, the best they can do, you can try it. You can't not try it for people. But eventually, if they just can't secure a property because of that, you just might suggest they just save more money. They gotta save more money so they can do their closing costs.
Do I want to do an example property, like what you would look at and how you would determine what would be a strong offer for it? Sure. So like, let's say for instance, Cindy's a Marcusville.
Okay.
So the facts that I see on that is tenant occupied.
Okay. That doesn't matter.
Probably this is an occupancy.
Yeah, so if it's tenant occupied, you definitely want those tenants out of there before you close the escrow for your buyers. Because if you close that escrow and those tenants are not out of that property, they are now your buyer's problem. They will have to evict them. The seller can't do it. And an eviction, this is another interesting thing. If the seller gives a 60-day notice to their tenants and they don't move out, you close the escrow, I can't take over on that 60, if I'm the buyer, I can't take over on that 60-day notice. I've got to reissue the 60-day notice. It starts all over again. So make sure they're out. Unless your buyers are like, they don't care. But why would they do that? Like, seriously, I would be like, you don't want them, that's a problem. Unless they're an investor, maybe, and they don't care. Or like I bought some distressed properties and they had tenants in there and I got it for a good deal. And I'm just like, okay, I'll get them out. I do the eviction. But for most people that are gonna occupy a property, they don't want to do an eviction. It could cost them a couple of $1,000 in a lot of free. So, okay, keep going, Jack. Yeah, that's fine. That one's fine.
Let's see what else we got.
Final one is just listed today.
Yeah, so.
What are you talking about?
I said how could an eviction house, like, is that just a legal case and stuff?
Oh, yeah,
If
because,
they have mail coming to that house, that's really good.
well, they're saving that money out. I don't even kind of like, other states, if they're there, so the first thing you do is if you want them out for a 60-day notice, if you give them a 60-day notice to move. Okay, and there has to be cause right now. It can't just be, oh, I want you out, it has to be like, we're selling the house, whatever. If they're not paying rent, you do a 3-day pay or quit, that's a different type of eviction, it's get somebody out in 60 days. And so, if they don't get out in 60 days, then they do an unlawful detainer. But to do the 60-day notice, you have to pay for that paperwork to be drawn up, you have to pay to get it served. You're probably not gonna get rent during this time, because they're, the morning boys, they're not going to, pay the rent because of that, right? And legally, the first 30 days, after you give a 60-day notice, they should pay their rent. But the second 30 days, because of our lovely governor, he's made that, they need to retain that rent so they can move to another location. So that's what they've done. So this is what I did on mine on Carmelita. We issued a 3-day pay or quit and a 60-day at the same time. He did not. Once he got 60 days, of course, he didn't pay the rent. So we did a 3-day pay or quit or he did pay the $1,400. So then we went to an unlawful detainer, so it's faster. It costs $700 to file the court papers. It's another $250 for an attorney, plus all the fees to file all the papers, plus you have to pay for the lockout. It could be a couple $1,000. So it's not like, they just have to get out. They have every single right in the book and you have nothing. And if you don't handle it properly, they will start all over again. And the judge will make you redo everything and then you have to square one again. And plus, not to mention all the damage they can do to the property while they're dead. Because they're losers.
But if you get some tough guys that just go live there themselves and you make them.
You what?
You just have some other tough guys that go live there.
Not enough. Yeah, well work. Okay, so 1421 West Westfield. When did it get listed? Today.
Looks like they're sold, but they have no information regarding the solar. You look at it, they age for
Okay, this is yeah, it's hers. Okay. So if I was gonna write an offer on this, is it owner occupied or tenant?
Yes.
Oh, so if I was gonna, is there a pool? No. Okay. Okay, so do you want to show us the forms how to write an offer and we'll go through it?
Where you get picture in the spots.
Do you want to show them how to? Oh, you are, okay.
So this, I sent you a posted on the Facebook group, handouts on how to write an offer. And that walks you through the step by step, and that's in our downtown group, which I will show quickly, which is 5 days. So I tagged almost everybody in the post. Write an offer. It's also right here on your files, but you can access it. Step by step, there's moving to the steps that I'll take you today. Again, it's on how to write an offer.
But we're gonna go over how to write an offer. But when you guys write an offer, if it's your first offer, just let me help you. Don't, of course, you want to take, if you're going to take a shot at it, try it. But don't send it to your clients to sign. And just do it and then send it to me. And I'll go over it with you. Like, I'll pull it up on the thing, I can look at it, I'll say, okay, what kind of financing, you tell me all the details, we'll go through it. Then we'll tweak it as it needs to be done, you redo it, send it back to me, okay, that looks good, then you send it out for signatures. Don't try it on your own first, you're gonna miss stuff. Remember when Greg did that the first time, he wrote an offer, it was a VA, and on VA, there's like lender fees that this buyer may not pay and the seller has to, well, Greg just thought, oh, well, they have to, right? They have to do that. But he didn't write it in there, seller to pay, 2% closing costs, so the deal is accepted. Accepted, the deal is probably a mess. So, and so I told Greg, don't you ever send out an offer again without sending it to me first. But he does do that.
Even like I said, you don't really got it down, but you're not doing an offer that's something different. Still come back and ask for help. If it has stuff, if it has well, if it's on, flood zone, if it is, has solar that's different than what you're used to, always once again come back to stuff.
And asks for help to start, then you try to fix the problem at the end, because it's gonna be harder to fix it at the end. Once things have already been done, just ask them to start, it's okay. So, all right, Jen, so,
Get in look the other way, there's several closure, you know?
okay. So we went to zip forms, and we went to new, and now where are we at, Jen?
I'm gonna do MLS connected, not all the details on the property.
Okay,
So I'm gonna go back to the property to get the MLS number.
we're just like the agent. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't look like it's on.
No, he just like one of these. Okay, so if you put the listing ID in there, it's gonna load all the property. From the MLS, it's gonna bring it over. It's gonna save you guys a ton of time. Cause it'll give you the listing agent's name, their office, and their license number, so you don't have to pull that over. Okay, so then put the name at the top, Jackie. Just put practice.
I was, but I just.
Okay, practice. Jackie puts address, I put people's name, sometimes I put an address, like just tell me where it is that you're gonna reference it.
Yeah, that's how I don't use it, I just said it's a hot house, and then do like.
And then it's residential, hit save.
So normally I first go to cover sheet and fill in the back of buyer's information from the documents.
Okay, put their email. It's a DocuSign, and you have it all in your cover sheet, it's so much easier, it just pulls it all in to DocuSign.
Because I'll parse every emails, but yeah. I don't like using the whole documents.
Okay, so go down, we don't need to put in seller info, oh wait. See, this is where it plugs it in, so it's got the MLS number, it's got the street, the list date, all this stuff, the APN, keep going. This is your deposit amount, like, how much is that house listed for, Jackie?
That's what I said.
Okay, see, it's $349, I would definitely do at least a 1% EMD. I mean, your buyers have to accept that, they have to wanna do it, but, you know, see, ask them, are you okay with $5,000 deposit? Do you have it? You have to understand that if the only time that deposit becomes not refundable is once we've released all the contingencies. So, and they don't give you any money, that's always the question, oh, do I have to pay for it now? No, you wait till they have an accepted offer, then it goes to escrow, you have 3 days. Okay, so that would change, okay, we've got all California in there. So this is Jackie's info here as the buyers, the seller's info is here, all there, keep going. And I don't get over caught up in all the rest of this stuff. Don't fill this in, it's not that important. Save it,
And we jump over.
and we go to the residential purchase agreement. Okay, so this is the disclosure regarding real estate agency relationships. When you're going over this with your buyers, if you want to explain it to them, don't read it line by line. I mean, you'll be there for hours doing that. So I just say, go down, Jackie. This is the disclosure regarding real estate agency relationships. I'm representing you as the buyer's agent, you know, and it just says, this talks about my duties to you. And then it checks buyer, they sign. This is the civil code that talks about, that applies to this disclosure. If we don't read it, you want a copy of it, just give them a copy of everything. Keep going. Fair housing, it just says that we don't discriminate, we don't write offers, accept offers, make offers based on race, religion, or sex. Yeah, okay. Possible representation of more than one buyer or seller. I represent multiple buyers at a time, I represent multiple sellers, you have to make sure, you know, and I always kind of play it off like, well, you know, I know more than I represent other buyers, I represent other sellers, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah.
So if you take your classes and they talk about your whole agency and how much to be disclosed, this is factor of disclosure. The other factor is on the RPA, which will show you that part too.
Well, this is not really dual agency, this is more talking about if you have other buyers or sellers that you're working with. Dual agency is more the disclosure.
The RPA part.
So here's the wire fraud. It just says if somebody calls you and says, hey, wire your money in, there's secure ways that they do that through escrow. Like, be careful because there are scams going on. So they just have to make sure they know who they're talking to and the wire comes directly from them. So just make sure they understand that. And it has happened. So tell them be careful with that. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna put the date. So today's date. And then all that automatically comes in. You've got to check the seller. You got to check the buyer for you. This talks about agency. This is confirmation of agency. And dual agency is not just the same agent for both people. It's the same office. So if Romy has the property listed and I write the offer, that is dual agency. So it's not just about agents, it's about office.
This one right here.
So we would check that one, both the buyer and the seller. Purchase price is gonna go here. If it's an all cash offer, it's gonna go there. Obviously, it's gonna go next to it, but we're gonna pretend like it's not all cash. We're gonna, and our, how much is that? Okay, so my clients wanna come in at $355. No, my clients wanna come in at $370. Okay, they're gonna do a 30-day escrow. It's owner occupied, so when we get to that point, we'll do that in. The initial deposit is gonna be $3,700. Yeah, that's good. We're not gonna do an increased deposit. If you wanna do an increased deposit, people have been like, oh, we're gonna do $3,000 initially, and once we're over the inspection period, we're gonna do another $3,000. So they bump their deposit. They can do that. We don't see it too often, but you can do that. Loan amounts. So this is whatever, so my clients are gonna be conventional financing and they're gonna put 5% down. So what does that work out, Jackie? You gotta put your loan amount there. Don't not put loan amount, because otherwise it's not how we look if you're paying cash. You gotta show them what you're putting down. So there, you put your loan amount in there, and then it auto-populates the balance of your down payment right here.
And right here, it's already defaulted setting conventional. If it was to be a different type of loan, you check defaults.
Right.
Do you
So-
ever like the local interest rate for?
No. I don't. But you can. This is a loophole for them. It's just saying if interest rates shoot up, it's probably good to do it now. So like if they're locked in at a 5% interest rate and interest rates go up to 7%, they don't qualify any longer. You got a problem because you're in the middle of a contract.
Well, it doesn't matter if they still fall or they don't want
They
it.
don't want it, so you can cap off the interest rate right there. If the interest rates exceed X amount, these people have the option of backing out. Okay, you can do that. Let's see, so that's, if it's a primary, if you're not occupied, leave it. If it's secondary, you would go there, or not. Okay. Okay, this is not the way I write this.
This was one that we started using. You can type however you want.
I'm gonna type right now. Okay. Buyer to pay $10,000 over appraised value, not to exceed $370,000. You don't have to go into all that if it doesn't appraise. You don't need all that verbiage in there. You just need to say buyer to pay $10,000 or whatever it is over appraised value, not to exceed purchase price. That's simple. And you can put purchase price if you don't want to put $370,000, you put purchase price. And if you counter it, and your purchase price goes up, it's still valid. Okay. So let's see. You're going to do a final walkthrough 5 days prior. These are all plugged in for you. But if you really want to make your offer strong, start reducing these time periods. Like, the appraisal, we really can't reduce that because we're at the mercy of the appraisers. We can't. We can't say, oh, they'll be there in 5 days. They may not. But the investigation of property, do 10 days. If you really want to make it fast, do 7. And it's good for 2 reasons. Then are your clients in or are they out? And you can remove that contingency, and the sellers like that. They know if there's gonna be a problem, we're gonna have it up front in the inspection.
Because usually very capture our taxes is because of what's going on in
Right, so that is, so change that to 10. Everything else is pretty standard. I wouldn't change any of that.
Right here is when you have to sell your house.
Right, then you would do that, and that would automatically auto-populate that form. Up there, Jackie, it talks about no loan contingency and no appraisal contingency. I wouldn't put no loan contingency, because if your client loses their job, or heaven forbid, one dies and that he was a moneymaker and then they don't qualify anymore, you're gonna lose the deposit. So I would not take out the loan contingency. And the appraisal contingency is if they are brave enough to make up that difference of the appraisal like we talked about. Okay.
And do you know the ones that try to loophole where I'm gonna keep it off my appraisal contingency, but anticipate it's a little bit of record, I'll just cancel payments.
Right.
Because I don't have the cash flow, the difference. Like that's giving false.
Yeah. One leads the other. Okay. Then what else do we have?
Time of possession.
Okay. So time of possession is when you're gonna give occupancy to client. That's when you need to put that in there. So it says 6 p.m. you can give a date, or you could go to another section and just put,
20 days.
yes, how many days, like 14 days.
What on average, how do you really calculate the time?
I always give them 2 days. If they're younger and they seem like they're kind of okay, if I talk to the agent and they're like, they're okay, I'm giving 2 or 3 days. And talk to your buyer about it to get out. But if, like, if they're older, or if it's a very highly competitive property, or if they're moving to another property, if there's a domino effect going in and they're waiting for those people to get out, they're gonna have to wait for them to get out before they can get out, before your people can get out. It is so important to negotiate that before it closes. I've seen so many fights and deals turn horrible when they don't do it. People are screaming, they want to call the police. You don't want that. If we've got it all written, and then everything that happens at that property is a negative. A super good deal, then everything, you're like, oh, that's fine, it just goes back. So just make sure you do that. It's very important. Everything else is kind of boilerplate. You go down here. You want to make sure you're checking what's included or what isn't. So stoves, the refrigerator, the washer, the dryer, I don't know, are they leaving it? A dishwasher, probably, a microwave, maybe. Find out about video, doorbells, security cameras, all this kind of stuff. Another big fight that people have over, there were cameras here. Well, the seller said they belong to them. Make sure you clarify it and put it in the offer if your buyer wants it. Don't go off of what, the listing agent said. Put it here, because then you have it. If you don't, it's just going to be how it happens to go. And if the seller and the listing agent weren't communicating right, but your buyer thinks they're in it, and then you show up and it's gone, they're upset. Again, you got an upset person. So make sure you do that. The wall mounts for the TVs, and that's another one. Like, do you want those wall mounts left, or do you want that seller to remove those wall mounts and fill those holes? So that's something we should talk about. Additional items included. If you were going to do anything different, put it there. If there's excluded items, I don't know what I would put there. I usually don't. If it was noted on the MLS, but if you really there, they know that I'm getting it anyway. Oops. Natural hazard, the seller's going to pay for that. It's about $99. If you're going to do a pest inspection, you put pest report, who's going to provide it, the buyer or the seller. Smoke alarms, that all of these are negotiable, but this is typically, that's going to be a seller's item. We don't do these government required claims.
Just more like for a coastal.
Yeah.
For the sewer.
Yeah, don't do that. Escrow fees, each pay their own. Seller pays title insurance policy. There is a county transfer tax, that's a seller's fee. HOA. If there's HOA fees, who's going to pay for it? The preparing of the disclosure is the seller, the cert fee is a buyer, and transfer fees, who's going to pay for that? You've got to see, like you might ask for the seller to pay for it, but you need to do that. A home warranty, If I'm competing and I wanna write a really strong offer, I just pay for the home warranty. Up to you guys, if you wanna do that, or ask the buyer, say you wanna buy your own home warranty. Cause it's just one more thing that a seller can be like, well, I've got all these offers and they're not asking for it, it could be the difference right there. So it's negotiable, but in a highly competitive market, I just pay for it, I'd rather just pay for it. And it's a nice gift for my clients, and I always tell them, oh, I'll just buy that for you. They know that I buy it for them, so they like that.
This might be a stupid question, but wait, can you go back?
Mhm.
So in that sense, like you put both, would it have to be an even 50/50 or can it be like 12/375, the HOA transfer?
On escrow fees, you should pay them.
Regular versus both, you have the ability to write that split.
Oh, yeah.
So they're split,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a straight 50/50.
Right.
And everything's negotiable. But the standard automatically anticipated or escrow is 50/50. So even if you put each payment on escrow, it's 50/50, but if you want to split direct there, or on these fees, you can. And as well as sitting with the title insurance, and I've paid it once or twice where I put, I had to pay my title insurance.
But get those things what they are, make sure your buyer's real aware of it, because it's gonna be a shocker at the end when they're like, oh god. And a lot of times, when you're in the frenzy of trying to get the property, they'll be like, okay, yeah, and then at the end, they, what the heck? So make sure you put it in writing. I would also do a net sheet form. If you're messing around with fees a whole lot, I do a net sheet, I send it to them, I get them to sign it. That way you know they're signing receipt. Okay. Any questions about any of that? No? Keep going. This is property type. These are if you need to do any addendums. We're not doing any of that with any of that. Keep going, Jackie.
That's pretty much.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so can anybody think of anything else that would be important when writing an offer or request? Solar. Okay. So, where's solar going on here? Yeah, so what I will put in here, if it is a lease, I will put, buyer to, review and approve terms of solar contract. Subject to buyer reviewing and approving solar contract, because not all solar contracts are created equally, and there's some really horrible ones. So you wanna get, that's really part of their inspection period, but when a solar company doesn't give you the info until after the inspection period, make that a subject to your loophole. If it goes wrong, you get your buyer back out of it. And if it's purchased, you wanna include that, the owned solar to be transferred to the buyer. It's like another, thing.
Apparently it's paid off, you don't treasure till after it's closed.
Yeah, but you wanna make sure that it's legally written in there, that it has to be, because otherwise, what if the seller takes it off the roof and moves with it? So you gotta have it in writing. Yeah. Okay.
And what another is you look at the terms.
I'm not sure I can think of.
Agency relationships. I can remember.
Oh, yeah, if you're an agent and representing yourself, disclose that, like put, agent is acting as a principal, or buyer is a licensed real estate agent, real estate broker, acting as a principal in this transaction. You get sued if you don't disclose it.
Anything is heavy, you know, what's it called, put it in a contract. So some people are really have an addenda, technically that's not okay.
And if you're the listing agent and you're listing your own property, put it in the MLS, put it in the TDS, put it in a calendar. You get sued over that. Because they're gonna hold you to a higher level while you're an agent, you do that. Or if you're representing a family member, disclose that as well.
Other meaning of another. I guess that's for candidates, we would like to be safe, but because it's not really hurting us, because they're not gonna get it. But
I
it
would
is,
add it.
so we still put it in, right, MLS too.
Yeah, it isn't really about how long you've known anybody, it's really about the relationship that, how long you've been together with them. Yeah, it's common law, so I would put it in there, just cover your butt. Yeah. Better to overdo than under, right? I mean.
Because we got so much stuff on that side, it wasn't, our cousin, it was just like a close friend of mine.
Yeah.
They're like, you can tell, it's like,
So is there anything else that you guys have questions about?
What about mobile phones or?
Yeah, here's this. That you do the state purchase agreement, but where's those addendums at? Right here. There's an addendum, see manufactured home addendum. And then bring it up. And then you've got, is it in a park or is it in the land? That's two different things. Okay. Anything else? Anything we need to cover again? Anything on the 2,000 over?
It was recorded.
Yes. But if, when you're ready to first offer, please, let me help you. Because you think you're gonna remember it and you won't. I mean, I've seen agents, they fill out the price, everything else is blank. And you kind of go, oh, I mean, and most agents will say, this is blank, and you send it over that way, most of the agents, but some of them are jerks, and they won't. And they will just take advantage of you, or they will just pick you apart. So we want to make sure you write everything as precise as we can.
And even agents that have to do with long enough and able to say everything, the purchase price along on there.
That's the one I know, I've seen it with it. Luis did that with me on one, and I told him, I'm like, oh, do I get to know the purchase price? And he's like, what? I go, you know the purchase price. And he's like, oh God, it was just an oversight, we go too fast. But the one I see is they don't put the loan amount in there. You just see the purchase price and then the EMD, and then at the bottom is the balance of purchase price, like it's cash offer. But you want them to know what you're putting down, because when I'm presenting to a seller, I'll say, look, these people are putting 20% down, they're solid, right? But
I had a case where an agent got upset because they took their offer because they had 80-20 conventional. They gave their full loan amount, and on the pre-approval, it was vague, it was a conventional. To me, it was not, it was like, it was still connected with the FHA, but it's the FHA. But had I known it was 80-20, it would have been a bigger difference. But
and when you're putting your offers, always listing agents, asking what's important. What's important? How many offers do you have? What do they look like? Some of them will tell you, I tell, but a lot, some of them won't. So I go, that would be fair if I told you. And then I keep on the like, well, are they over full price? Or you can say something like this. I don't want to waste your seller's time. If it's already over what my buyer's qualified for, we won't write, right? Ask them. But, so at least you can get a starting point, like, are they over full price? Come on, like, can we play this game? Just say yes or no. Is it over full? Yes. Is it less than, this? Yes. Then you kind of narrow it down a little bit. And sometimes you'll break them down and they'll eventually tell you that.
Jake, always make sure to ask them what they think our purchase price is in case of like how we're basing it.
Sometimes I usually try to figure out what I think it's gonna appraise for, but I'll ask them sometimes, like, do you think it's gonna appraise this high? If they say no, then I instead of like, oh, then the appraisal gap, super important. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. So you just take the purchase price times whatever, if they're putting 5% down, it's 95% loan, so you take the purchase price times 0.95, that's the loan amount. Right, but you can always, if you don't want to figure it that way, if they're putting 10% down, you can just take the loan, or the purchase price times the 10%, and then figure out, subtract it from that, what your loan amount is. I mean, there's a couple ways to do that. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, do you guys have any questions? Brian and Lisa's.
We're good?
All right, see you guys. Stop share.